Old Mutual says it plans to appeal today's High Court ruling that its former CEO Peter Moyo be reinstated. The reinstatement is temporary pending the outcome of the second part of his application. Moyo had filed an urgent application after he was fired in May. On the line to discuss today's judgment is Old Mutual's communications spokesperson Tabby Tsengiwe. A very good evening to you and thank you so much for speaking to us, Tabby. So you're saying that you've already communicated to Peter Moyo already that he should stay put, he should not come to work, as you're filing an appeal as soon as possible. Is that correct?
That is correct, Peter. So the board, after considering the terms of the judgment and taking legal advice on it, decided that we will appeal this judgment in a higher court. And what that means is that it actually suspends the operation of the court order. Hence the fact that this information has been shared with Mr. Moyo.
And from your statement, you seem pretty confident that you will find favour in a higher court. Why is that?
We remain resolute that the board, in fact, remains resolute that they were absolutely in line with acting in keeping with their fiduciary responsibilities in the actions that they took against Mr. Moyo by terminating his employment in June.
So from the court ruling, what do you understand the reason behind the court ruling that he should be reinstated, and any process to appoint anybody new to that position must be halted? And of course, there's also part B of his application. But why do you think that a higher court would have a different opinion of the facts before it?
So I think with litigation, so it remains open for any party in a decision or a judgment that has been taken. The decision to take it on appeal is actually open to all parties. And it is on that basis, because we believe that this application was ill-conceived, that there were a certain number of false allegations that were contained in it, and we believe that we stand a chance of having a different outcome in a higher court. So
let's look at some of those. Peter Moyo's legal team, for instance, has said this issue of a breakdown of trust was a sham, that it was manufactured. The fact that he was not given an opportunity to go through a disciplinary process or make some sort of submission on his behalf to defend himself. What is your response to that? What points to the fact that you did follow due procedure?
So there's two things that I first want to highlight, Tepiso. One is the decision to take this matter to court was not Old Mutual's decision. It was Mr. Moyo's decision. As Old Mutual, the preference would have been for this to be an amicable agreement based on the fact that the board believes that it acted lawfully when it terminated Mr. Moyo's employment. And it is on that basis that we feel we have valid grounds to take this on appeal to a higher court.
So, on the grounds that he felt that he was not given adequate opportunity at all to argue his case, this is what Peter Moyo's legal team is saying, that they went to court to seek recourse from there. They argue that the chairman of the board, whom he has made various allegations about, was the final arbiter of this decision. Are all these baseless, untruth statements?
And we have maintained the piece throughout that the board is made up of 15 individuals who have impeccable track records, who are business leaders in their own right, who actually sit on various other boards besides just the Old Mutual board. So the foundation and the statement we have found is to be one that is very scurrilous and quite offensive to the integrity of those members of the board of Old Mutual as a whole. That said, Mr. Moyo and his lawyers are entitled to their view on this issue, which is what they have put forward. We maintain that the board believes that they acted lawfully in terminating Mr. Moyo's employment.
So you say this was not your choice, but yet there are very serious allegations that you've made against Peter Moyo. One being mainly that, beyond the conflict of interest, that he allowed the dividends to slide while he pocketed money. Surely that should have been an incentive for you to take him to court if he really believes that his reputation has been besmirched. Part B of that is that he wants you to pay for that. And, of course, declaring the board members there to ensure that they are never allowed to be board members again.
So we have maintained throughout this process against Episo that this is something that we believe could have been settled outside of the public arena, as it has now turned out to be, because most of the allegations that are actually being made are false allegations, and it is an issue that would have been better dealt with between Mr. Moyo and the board. Unfortunately, this is the course of action that he has taken, and we still stand by the fact that the decision to terminate his employment was lawful, and it was in line with the board keeping and following good governance principles. And it is on that basis that we are taking this to a higher court on appeal.
So some of these issues, are you saying the court did not find, or there was not enough evidence that Trevor Manuel, as the board chair, did not pay due diligence to corporate governance, including the fact that Peter Moyo asserts that he was suspended because he raised the issue, the concern that the insurance company paid for Manuel's legal fees, that there was nothing proven in these allegations?
So we have actually spoken about the issue of the legal fees when it comes to the chairman's payment of the legal fees. And we previously addressed that. It was actually legal fees that were paid to protect the reputation of Old Mutual, and the fees were paid not for the chairman as an individual, but in his capacity as chairman of Old Mutual. It was a decision that was actually endorsed and taken by Mr. Moyo himself at the time, and it was in the interest of protecting the reputation of Old Mutual. And I'd like to add that it is not unusual for companies to pay legal fees for board members generally if it is deemed that that payment is with regards to protecting the reputation of that company.
So just with regards to that, because I believe your claim is that he signed off on the financial statements by the auditors. Was he a whistleblower or was he complicit in this decision?
Come again?
So according to Old Mutual, you contend that he signed off on the financial statements by the auditors. So was he a whistleblower or was he complicit in this decision?
He was the decision maker. He was the decision maker in the payment of the fees. So how does a decision maker then become a whistleblower?
Are these some of the issues that you're going to raise in your appeal?
So these are issues that actually are contained in our responding papers.
I understand that, but then again, as I mentioned, the fact that a part B of this application is to ensure that the board members are labelled as delinquent members so that they never hold these executive positions before. So you say that the decision, the consensus to fire him was a collective board decision. So would you go to court to defend their reputations as per these allegations being made by Mr. Moyo?
So at the moment, Part B has not actually been activated. It has not been served to us. It has not been activated. So I do not right now, I'm not able to respond to what Part B would entail in terms of our action and our response.
Okay, so then,
because it has not been activated.
So then let's go back to then the reason that he was fired. NMT Capital, did Mr. Moyo make any declaration? Did he declare his interest from the beginning?
That was on record. That is a fact that was known.
So where did the breakdown of the relationship come?
The breakdown of the relationship, if you look at the announcement that we made when the termination of his employment was decided on the 18th of June, is the breakdown is in how Mr. Moyo managed the conflicts that arose in the relationship between NMT and Old Mutual as a preference shareholder in NMT.
But part of it, post that decision, including the conflict of interest, I understand from his legal team that you also used the fact that he spoke to the media as another source of why you said that there has been a breakdown in trust. Is this correct?
That is incorrect. The breakdown in trust happened as a result of how Mr. Moyo managed the conflict that arose between NMT and Old Mutual at preference shares. The speaking to the media had nothing to do with the board decision that was taken on the 24th of May. That decision was based on his management of the conflict that arose.
So you at no point ever raised this as a problem?
Ever raised what as a problem?
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us. And just by the way, before you go, Tabby, when are you intending to file that appeal?
The appeal will be filed this evening.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Tabby Tsengiwe, that is the Old Mutual Communications spokesperson. That's something that, of course, that we will be watching. It's something, Stephen, that drew a lot of headlines. They opened a lot of discussions about corporate governance, whether or not there is something there to look into.
I think it's going to be one of those, it goes on appeal once, will it go on appeal twice, no matter what comes from the High Court when it gives that appeal. Let's see what happens there.
All right, so I think that's the end of the program. Thank you so much for all of the tweets, voice notes that you've sent on this question about unemployment. 6.7 million South Africans seeking employment. You can continue the conversations. What solutions should we be putting on the table?
Let's see if we have any tweets and voice messages. We don't at the moment. So thank you very much indeed for being with us. We'll be back with you soon, and plenty to come here on SABC News.
Goodbye.
Electricity.
Electricity is the lifeblood for commerce, for growth of any economy. You cannot do anything, virtually anything, without electricity.
Many African countries are grappling with power supply challenges.
I have a vision that we will end energy poverty in Zimbabwe. And that vision must be realized within the next 12 months.
Catch African Perspective this Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Central African Time as we discuss energy and power challenges on the continent.
It is estimated that about 85